Hi everyone! Today I'll take you through a behind the scenes look at creating the springtime animation from our Fancy Shapes Seasons video. This tutorial will help you learn to use the Fancy Shape tool, and using what you've learned from this video, you'll easily be able to create the other seasons animations. This is just a quick look at the many uses of the Fancy Shape tool. And just a note, for these scenes I'm going to be using the default color scheme of this template. However, you may not see the same colors as me if you're using a different template. If you need inspiration on colors to use, you can always select a different color scheme. Or, when selecting the color of an element, you have the option to choose whatever color you want, even those not found on the scheme. So we can get started creating the spring season scene. We'll be using different animations and different delays to create the effects of dogs and flowers in a park with a shining sun. To start off, we can create our background. To do this, we can use the strip tool, and that's located in the Add section, under Shapes, and select Strip. So what I can do is increase the size by clicking on this dot here, and scaling it up, and I'm going to give this a light blue background. So here in the panel box, select where it says color, and how about we go with this. That looks good. Now we also need some grass, so I can do that by adding another strip. Add, strip, and I'll drag that down here. I'll scale it down a bit. I'll just bring that there. And how about in color, we give it a green color, the color of grass. I'll make it a bit darker than the background we have. There you see, we're well on our way. Now we can start with adding some shapes. Select Fancy Shape within Add, go to Fancy Shape, and here we can select a different shape than a shooting star. So over here in the panel box, you can select People in Nature, and we can select this sun shape here. And you can see we now have a sun. And I'll scale this down a little bit by holding Shift and clicking and dragging one of these little dots, and I'll just put this in the top left corner. Now I need to change the color of the sun because the sun isn't red. So in the panel box, select Style, and here, Background, where it says Color, I'll select that and I'll give it this color, sort of a yellow orangish. For the cloud, we can add another fancy shape. So add, Fancy Shape, People in Nature, and select the cloud. And I'll also scale this down a bit. And this I'll put in front of the sun. And now, where it says color, I can select a whitish color. And you can see it looks like a cloud in front of the sun. Now we need to animate these two shapes first. So to animate the sun, we can select the sun. And here, in the Style section of the panel box, under the Animation section, we can select Transitions. And how about we go with Rotate In? You can see the sun fades in and also rotates. And for the cloud, Style, and for this we'll select Slide In. You can see the cloud slides in while the sun rotates. To add the dogs, I'll go back and add another fancy shape. And now, where it says People in Nature, I can select the dog shape. And I can scale this down a bit. I'll just drag that up there. Under Style, I'll select Color, and I'll give the dog a white color as well. I can scale the dogs as I so choose, so I'll make this one a little bit bigger, but when I add the other dogs to give a sense of depth, I'll make them a bit smaller or larger depending on where I put them on the page. To give this dog an animation, select him, and in the Style section, where it says Animation, I'll keep Transitions, and how about I select Slide In? You can see the dog slides in there. I can add a few more dogs by using the Copy and Paste tool, and that's located up here. So select the dog, and here, Copy, and Paste. You can see I have another dog here, and I can just move those around and scale them around and make my own customizations to them. Finally, I can add the flowers. The flowers are actually consisting of two different parts, the stem and the flower itself. So for this, I'll need two fancy shapes. The first one, I can select Add, and in Fancy Shape, in the panel box, under People and Nature, I can select this flower shape here. And I can scale this down. And for the second shape, it's also in People and Nature, and I can select this shape right here. I can click and drag and scale this down as well. I can change the color of the flower by going to the panel box, selecting Style, and here in the color selection, selecting Color. So I'll give these leaves a green color, and I'll select the flower. And this is a good time to talk about layers. Every time you add an element to your web page, it's put on a new layer. So for this reason, because I added the leaves after I added the flower shape, they look in front of the actual flower shape. To change this, I can simply select this flower shape, and in this menu here, I can bring it forward or move it back layers. So how about I bring it forward a bit, and you can now see that it's in front of the leaf shape. You can use this to your advantage by giving things a sense of depth and putting elements in front of or behind different elements on your page. So we can now animate this flower. For the stem, in Style, here in the drop down, I'll select the animation section, and I'll give it an elastic animation. And for the actual flower shape, under the Style section, I can select animation, and I'll give this one the ta-da animation. Now we can just copy and paste a few more of these flowers. So I can select both of them by holding the Shift key, and up here, select Copy, and then I'll paste. The final thing we can do is add some delay, and it just makes the page feel more dynamic. So to do that, we can start with this dog here. So you can select him, and I'll just move this panel box over here. And in the Style section, here where it says Animation, you can select Options. And now we have a few different options to customize the animation. So I can change the direction from which he fades in. I can change the speed at which this animation occurs. I can change the amount of loop iterations. So right now I have it set to infinity, which means that it will continuously loop this animation on my page. And the final option here is the one I'll talk to you about, which is delay. So the delay changes the amount of seconds it takes before the animation actually takes place. So if I change this to, say, 2.5 seconds, you can see that the animation takes longer to take place with this dog right here. So I'll just customize the delays a little bit on a few of the different elements of this page. And there you have it. Using the Fancy Shape tool, I've easily created the spring season animation. Creating the other animations from the Fancy Shapes Seasons video is just as easy, and you'll be able to make them using the tips you've just learned. Remember, this was just a quick look at using the Fancy Shape tool, and I'm sure you'll be able to create your own unique and fantastic animations. If you have any more questions, feel free to give us a call, give us an email, or contact our live support team. Thanks for watching.